Okay, my friends, these little tiny balls are all over the place because the Earth was literally biology, and this is the basement layer of skin, and these are the emplacement balls that normally would have been spread very evenly out, and as the skin stretched, they would bring it back to where it's supposed to be. Let me show you the anatomical view. Okay, my friends, this I believe was from Desert Drifter, and he goes around all over the place, way up on these mountains. He sees all this stuff, these little balls, and all this here, and he's, wow, what is this? This is very interesting. But nobody will talk to me about this. I know exactly what it is, and I'll show you what it is right now. It's very, very easy to understand this. This is what's called Interstitium, and they didn't even know about this a long time ago. Well, just 2018, they just agreed that this is a new layer. All right, where did those balls come? They came from right here. Those are all those little balls. You see them in there? Those are the balls that are laying all over the ground up there where that Desert Drifter guy was. Now, this is your interstitium. They didn't even realize this little layer right here even existed until 2018. I wrote the paper on it in 2015. They accepted it in 2018 as a new found organ, entire body. Now, what does it look like? Here's exactly what it looks like. Here's all these balls and all these little layers. Well, guess what? Here's all those little balls and all those little layers. The Earth is completely biological. Everything that I can find is biological. I'm sorry, that's just a fact. If you can't accept it, that's up to you. Now this is, I'll show you just this. It shows all of it at one time. But these balls can get gigantic. And I mean, these are small. Some of them are absolutely enormous. The Earth was covered with creatures that were so big, nobody in the entire world could ever believe it. And they never have. This is what interstitium looks like. There's your skin. Just below that, there's a layer of fluid-filled highway that is your membrane, protects this stuff down here all the way down into your flesh. All of those balls erode out, and they're tough. They are tough. All the rest of the stuff is floppy. Here's over in the United Kingdom. This is Huntington Beach, and all of this has eroded away over and over and over, and the balls are just laying here. And then moss or whatever it is, some kind of seaweed, starts growing in these balls. And on the Earth, it grows, on the regular fresh water. This is salt water. Regular fresh water, they grow green. I mean, green as green can be, and they're everywhere. Every one of these balls would be green, just like this here. These are the Moki marbles in Utah, Arizona. They're all over the place. You just got to ask somebody, where's the Moki marbles? Look down. And there they are. This is what we've missed, and academia just refuses to engage in this. They don't want to know the truth. They want you to believe everything they told you, which is just complete nonsense now, and they know it. So what is that? It looks to me like it's fraud. And it's taken a ton of money from kids, and their parents are saying, you got to go listen to what they say. They say exactly what they say, exactly the way they say it. They'll give you a piece of paper, you can go get a good job. No, you are being fooled and being used. They're using you for merchandise. They're just taking your money and saying, you say what we tell you to or we'll ruin your life. That's, I don't like that at all. Okay, I don't know if we talked about this yet, but this is Yale News, and they're saying about what could Trump mean for Yale with this endowment stuff. Well, here's what he says. It said President-elect Donald Trump has proposed raising the taxes on the endowments of universities, which could bludgeon Yale's student and teaching and research abilities. They never paid any taxes on any of the money they took in for these endowments, and they're up to $41 billion. Could be at risk. Well, I hope so. Now here, they shouldn't just tax it. They should just take it from Yale. That's my recommendation. This election cycle, Trump and Vance have characterized universities as elite liberal echo chambers. No question about that. Their new proposal to tax university endowments, Trump has suggested, could fund a free, non-political online university such as Mudfossil University, called the American Academy. I don't care what he calls it. That's fine. It may serve as an enforcement mechanism to pressure universities into adopting specific practices towards on-campus dissent. You should be able to raise your voice against your professors, but if you do that now, they will keep your money and destroy your life, and they will never think a thing about it. See this? I have 45 papers up here on academia.edu because I am not allowed to participate anywhere. Here's one right here: photon particle wave duality vortex. This is from my paper. I tried to get a hold of Yale about this. They say they have no idea about quantum physics. If all you got to do is say what I say, and everybody will think you're smart. You think I'm kidding? Okay, my friends, you know I do quantum mechanics, and we do experiments, and we have accelerated light. We've seen light go both directions at the same time. We've seen mass go only one direction and only energy go the other direction. I've shown the photons, I've shown the muons, the electron neutrinos, electron showers, all of that. Listen what they have to say at Yale. When you go to Yale and pay your $75,000 to learn quantum physics, here's what you're going to learn.
This is a very exciting day for me, because today we're going to start quantum mechanics, and that's all we'll do till the end of the term. Now, I got bad news and good news. The bad news is that it's a subject that's kind of hard to follow intuitively, and the good news is that nobody can follow it intuitively. Richard Feynman, one of the big figures in physics, used to say no one understands quantum mechanics. So in some sense the pressure is off for you guys, because I don't get it and you don't get it and Feynman doesn't get it. The point is, here's my goal. Right now I am the only one who doesn't understand quantum mechanics. In about 7 days all of you will be unable to understand quantum mechanics. Then you can go back and spread your ignorance everywhere else. That's the only legacy a teacher can want. So
he's right about that. Okay, I showed you about Professor Shankar, and it's just nonsense what they have to say. So here's what I showed is light accelerating. That's not supposed to happen. And this isn't even in a vacuum. That's right here. That's the light coming through, and it's because of a Venturi, and it explodes here. And it created fission and fusion and raw energy. We might be able to get free energy. This is denied by Yale and by all of the top places, Fermilab. I mean, I showed all my stuff to CERN, and I went to the University of Geneva for particle physics through Coursera, and I showed them all this stuff. And they did upgrade CERN to use CMOS. Originally they fought back. Oh, no, you can't use CMOS. I said, yes, we're using light. We're using photons. They're using huge things. They're using particles like this and smashing them. We're using particles like this. CMOS won't get broken by particles like this. It'll get destroyed by particles like that, which they're hitting them with. All right, so and then they had to put filters in, so that by the time it gets to them, all they have is the light particles, I guess. They had to radiation harden them, but they did, and they upgraded CERN. It took a couple of years. And these are the particles right here. These are the photons. That's a photon of light. And that's the muon neutrino and electron neutrino. Muon neutrino is the black heavy particle. That's where all the weight is, and all the energy is in the white. And as they progress forward, they charge up. And here, they actually divide. The black stays back, and the white comes through and reattaches to the black over here. So this is fission, and that's fusion, and this is subatomic explosion. Whenever something breaks apart, it's an explosion. And you see the energy it created? It created so much energy that we can see the fields that we could never see. You'd never see these, except of the push back against them. This one's being sucked forward. That's why you see it. Otherwise, you'd never see any of this. It just wouldn't. You'd never even see it. The only reason this is become visible is it's going forward so fast that all the particles in front of it are being concussed. And these don't concuss anything really, because they're not in the line of the Venturi. So they're just going forward like normal light. But this, going backwards, hits them so hard in their face that they light up. Push to shove is always creates brilliance. Now, they just had a big thing about how they saw light go in both directions at the same time. Well, here it is right here. When it hits, it was going this way. Now it's going both directions. And the mass, the black parts, don't go backwards. The white part goes backwards. And it's exactly what they just said. Well, we just discovered that the dark part, the mass goes forward and the massless particles go back. That's correct. Showed us 10 years ago. Not hard to see when you put your eyes on before you just dismiss everything. That's what happened with Don Lincoln at Fermilab. And I'm just, it's just done, this nonsense. Trump's coming in, Musk is coming in to work with him and try to, get this thing under control. This is very, very serious. And anyway, we'll get it straightened out. I hope I'm able to work with them, because I got a feeling that all of these people are resigning because they know they were teaching nonsense about this stuff. They know they're teaching nonsense about the history and the geology, and God is real, Jesus is real, all that stuff is real, hell and heaven is real, and they talk about false teachers. Their destruction does not sleep. So either they turn around and say, hey, we made a mistake. It's okay, we made a mistake. And we followed what we were told to say. But now we understand. And if that doesn't happen, it's not just me that's going to have issues with them. There'll be all kinds of things happening to those kind of people. From God, hopefully from Trump. I don't know if Trump is God or not. At this point, I don't know anything anymore. I'm just like Professor Shankar. Nobody knows. What are you going to say? You got to look. Their job was to look at this. They did not do their job. They failed their state students. And actually, they took my research from somewhere around there. Exceptionally preserved. This was my research here. Fascia-facilitated fossilization. This was all of the soft bodies. Spectacular preservation in mud. And they literally took us. Oh, no, it was sand. No, it wasn't. It was mud. And there's 3 layers. There's a red bed of mud, which is where my stuff came from. Then the gray clay, which is all the marl and nasty stuff. And then the black cap, which is the fallout. The Triassic happened in like a day or so. I have a human footprint in the middle of that 3 layers. If it took 65 or 60 million years or 40 million years, whatever they say, I mean, it's just insane. I have the footprint in the middle of the 3. It's because there was an impact of Venus into our atmosphere. It actually caused the Earth to wrench so bad that all the siliceous ooze, which is 2.5 times heavier than water and sits on the ocean floor, and that's what created all the silicates and all the quartz. Silicates are quartz. And it swished up and supersaturated the waters. And Yale says the same thing. Yes, they agree with that. They agree with everything I said because I gave them all this stuff before this. And I said it's preserves, and they get caught in the mud, and it coats them, and the mud is literally like flesh. That's what it was boiled off flesh. And it coated these things, and nucleophilic substitution and invasion came in, and the transition metals came in, and they found partners to bond with and stabilize, and that's what we see here. And there is creatures here that we never knew about. No toes, these things that have big round toes and a big foot like that. It even has a built-in soul, it almost looks like. And there's springs inside some of these feet. These are engineered species. I'm telling you, these presidents are all getting out of town. They're smart. They know what they're doing. But what they were tried to do before was to bring in people from lower incomes that always questioned these people. And they were going to try to indoctrinate a bunch of them by giving them grants here. Give them some money, give them some money, give them some money so they can come in. And we'll indoctrinate them. They can go back to their neighborhoods, and then we'll be covered. Well, it didn't work because Trump's coming in. He's getting rid of all of that stuff. They have a whole batch of ways of indoctrinating people. It's menticide. They force you to say what they tell you to say, or they'll fail you. So let's take a kid from a poor background. He's got no money. They give him a grant to go to Yale. He goes to Yale for archaeology, anatomy, history, whatever he does. Whatever they tell him to say, he says it. He's not going to say no. Otherwise, they'll take his money away, first of all. Then they'll tell everybody that he should have never come here. He's an idiot. What would you say in that position if you were him? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, yeah. Oh, no problem. And then you go back and spread your ignorance everywhere, as Professor Shankar said. And he said that's the only legacy a teacher can want. And that's all there is. You spread your ignorance, and you tell them if they say that, they'll be accepted as a really intelligent person because somebody at Yale told them to say it. It just doesn't work. Now, I know Trump understands this, and I know Musk has to understand this. So we're going to, hopefully, I'd like to see him take at least $20 billion from Yale. The rest of them, I don't know how much money they got, but I just was looking up. Yale's got $40 billion, and they doubled it under Salvoy, and he was there for 11 years. You know, everything I did, they know about. They actually changed the name of Geology. It's gone. They even put a picture up of well, hold on, watch this. You see this? Yale changed its name from Geology, Yale to rename Geology and Geophysics to whatever they named it to. Department of Earth and Planetary Sciences. And what do they show? A mud fossil. That's mud fossil right there. That's not nothing. And that's why they renamed it, because they knew that all the stuff they were teaching was wrong. And they're sort of backing out of it. They did the exceptional preservation after I presented all my stuff to them a year later. So literally they're in trouble. I mean, they're in deep trouble for what they did to me and to the students. It's not just me. And I really don't care about me, to be perfectly honest. I'd like to see my school, you know, get Yale out of the way. And I'd like to see them make it into a homeless center, to be honest with you. It's not working as a school.